Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 13330 Southwest Roshack Road here in Tigard, located at the front of the house. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the home. We are just to the right of the front doorway. We're about 1 foot to the right of the patio here and about 1 foot out from the front of the house. Drop into a 3-inch ABS cleanout. Water is running. We're zeroed out. So far, good looking sewer line. A little bit of grease buildup in the flow line, but pretty minor stuff. It's that little bit of tan, kind of brownish stuff you see in the flow line there. Relative to most homes, it's very minor. I mostly just pointed out, so kind of for educational purpose. It's one of those things that you want to try and keep up with, not putting it down the line. It makes a great deal of difference, especially in larger households with kids that are, wadding up their toilet paper the size of a softball and flushing them about 6 times down the line at one time. It helps prevent the from stuff like that from hanging up. Makes your line a lot more forgiving under those circumstances. And it's about the only thing you can do as a homeowner to help maintain the functionality of the sewer line. Otherwise, it's buried underground at the will of Mother Nature. So we are going through a spot here with some standing water. We'll take a look at this on the way out when the line is fully drained. But you've got a fair amount of standing water here. In fact, the line there, I've only got a sink running right now. This looks like you've probably got about 2 inches of standing water in the line there, and you can see how murky that was or thick with buildup. So anyway. We're going to locate that here in just a minute. We're also going to locate here at the main connection. We're going to go let the line drain off here so we can get an accurate look at the dimensions of that belly. I located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southwest Roshack Road. I did put just a reference marking down out there. You'll see a white T out in the street. That's just showing where the main connection's at. Now the standing water actually does, it runs right up to the main lateral. It dissipates off down quite a bit by the time you get there. So at this point right here, we're certainly pulling back through some pretty thick debris buildup right now. When I pull the camera back quickly, I can barely get the water line to pull down below the camera lens. So at its deepest point there, your line appears to be fully submerged, if not very, very close to it. And you can see how you've got debris hitting the top of the pipe there. That's an indicator the line is on a regular basis is filling up to the top of the pipe, and the belly looks like it's submerged to begin with. So due to the level of standing water in the line here, as well as the type of debris buildup we've got going on the sewer line hitting the top of the pipe like that, we're getting debris buildup. Right now we're not in the belly. My camera is upside down at the moment, so at the bottom of the screen is actually the top of the pipe, or kind of at the bottom left-hand corner. You've got debris deposits hitting the top of the pipe coming all the way back to this point prior to the belly. that is an indicator that a backup has occurred. It looks like the backup busted loose right around this area here, but it has indeed caused that to occur. So all those things put together, it is one I'm going to recommend a repair on. If repairs are not done for some reason, at the very least, I highly recommend the line get jetted. You want to get all this built up. As I pull back through there, I can feel my camera is just going between all kinds of gunk. There's a lot of pressure being put on the camera head because the debris buildup's thick enough in there. My camera's kind of boring a hole through it to an extent. So, and again, if you know, I highly recommend the line be repaired first and foremost. If not repaired, certainly get it jetted. That'll help to reduce the amount of buildup in it and allow things to free flow easier. But it is something you'll have to keep up on. I recommend re-scoping a year later, 9 months to a year later, to see how the buildup's looking based on your living habits. You can kind of come up with a prescription for how frequently you want to do maintenance jetting to keep buildup down. And obviously, you want to be treating the line extra nice. Don't be putting grease, wipes, stuff like that down the line. Those things do help to mitigate buildup. Anyway, it looks like the belly here runs from about 41 feet out to about 59 feet. It dissipates off at the main connection. Alright, so I'm having a bit of a time here getting good locates. My locate signal's moving around like I want to see it move. But my depths, the signal in general is coming in very shaky. I can't get a nice pinpoint locate or a depth to settle in on an exact number. But the most consistent number I'm getting here is around the 7 to 8 foot deep mark. If you don't use locators, you won't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, repair guys watching this, I'm just not getting a signal that I want to go put into depth on the ground. The locate appears to be coming in reasonably accurate. It's the depths that are a bit off. And anyway, the markings out there to be considered rough. I would recommend the line needs to be relocated before doing any digging. Where I'm picking all that up is in the roadway. It spans, it's not edge to edge or from curb to curb, but it spans the majority of the width of the road. And after any repairs are completed, it's very important to do a rescope to check the work. The way you want to do that, ideally, you got to have a camera on site during the end of the repair process. But you know, get everything buried, compacted, and ready to pour asphalt. But scope it at that point. Make sure everything looks good. At least at that point, you've got a load on top of the line. That's most of the weight that's going to be on top of it by the time you bury it under dirt. If everything's looking good at that point, you know, then you're a lot safer to go ahead and bury it. You just don't want to asphalt over it and then find out it bellied back out on you again. Otherwise, the rest of the line here, everything prior to that point is in good condition, has good flow. The bellied area there, I don't feel any obvious spots where the pipe feels like it's broken. Plastic pipe can settle quite a lot without breaking. And you've got some pretty good grease buildup going back into the house here too. So if the line does get cleaned, I'd recommend running that machine backwards. You've got some, you know, half-inch thick grease buildup going back into the house. Again, that's kind of last resort. Repairs is what I'd like to see happen here, but if it doesn't happen, I would recommend the line get jetted end to end. Anyway, that is roughly marked out in the street with white paint. Once again, I recommend relocating. It needs to be relocated. That's just purely for reference. That's to help anyone else. Sometimes these lines can be very difficult to locate from interference and whatnot, so that might help someone else dial in on exactly where things are at.